Hello, Justin West with Life After Liberal Arts here, and I want to address a misleading quote that's been floating around a lot on the internet, especially on Facebook. I've seen it linked on a lot of people's walls, and here it is. What sort of person, this quote asks, doesn't think that there's anything wrong with asking the folks that are tasked with teaching our children to take a 20% cut on a $50,000 annual salary, but think it's a terrible idea to ask millionaires to pay an additional 3% more in taxes? Now, on the surface, this quote seems reasonable. Everyone knows that teachers work hard, everyone knows that teachers are underpaid, and people who have millions and millions of dollars certainly seem to have a lot of money, right? But statements like this strike me as very well meaning, but misguided. The assumptions behind this quote are that all incomes are equal, in the sense of able to be equally taken from, and once you make a certain amount of money, you are no longer entitled to your money. You no longer have a right to your superfluous wealth. Now, I'm going to play devil's advocate here because I want to address a couple of points. First off, teachers are public employees, and as such, their wage is up for public discussion. Now, before you jump on me, whether the wisest place to make cuts in the budget is the place that ensures we have educated population in the future is definitely a debatable point, and certainly there are other areas of the budget that might be a little more ripe for the picking, military spending, but those millionaires are private citizens, and what they make is determined entirely upon the work that they do and their value in the economy. To seek to punish them merely for being successful is unfair. In a truly just world, they might be morally obliged to give of what they have to a greater degree, but to simply take it from them by force, and taxes are by force threatened, because the budget isn't balancing out, is just not fair. It's not just. Moreover, this betrays a certain misunderstanding of the wealthy and their role in the economy. Most people have this vision that they're Scrooge McDuck, that the wealthy, the millionaires, have these giant money bins that they jump into and swim around in, and they don't do anything with this money. It just kind of sits around and looks really pretty. But that's just not true. If you've ever met somebody who has money in significant amounts, even if they're a greedy son of a gun, they still take the bulk of their money and they reinvest it. They put it back into the market to help other small businesses grow and thrive, which employs more people and helps out this middle class, which is struggling and even disappearing. Now, there could be fair alternatives to simply robbing the rich. For instance, you could tax individual luxuries, perhaps, yachts over $1 million or something like that. And you could, of course, definitely levy extra fees on the construction of facilities overseas or the exportation of jobs overseas, which would encourage those who own the capital and who are looking to grow industry to streamline their businesses in a way that keeps their investments local. It doesn't prevent them from outsourcing, but it does give real incentive to keep it local and share the wealth. But stealing more from people merely because they have more, it isn't cool and it's not the American way. So this sort of a quote that keeps getting passed around on Facebook, I have to say, is at the end of the day borderline socialism, and I'm going to get flack for saying that. But socialism says you don't have a right to what's yours. Everyone else has a right to what's yours because it's no longer yours, it belongs to everybody. And that's really what this quote is saying. Yes, it's horrible that teachers aren't paid more than they are, or they're not paid what they should be. But that doesn't mean that we have a right to take money, extra money from people who are succeeding in trying to build business so we can patch the holes. We need to curb our spending. And of course, it's a hard thing to do. Many people don't want to do it, don't want to say, cut the military budget or cut this budget or that budget, but we are overstretched and we can't keep it up. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. You're free to disagree.